And we are live. Hello, guys. Welcome to Jason Hebert Live. We have another missing persons interview for you today. Thank you so much to everyone for your patience. It took a moment just to make sure that we had everything all set up on our end. We did have a slight bit of technical issues that might pop up again. The whole with them not having headphones, you guys are probably familiar with it because it's happened a couple times where it catches my voice and creates feedback. So if that happens, we'll have to adjust for it. But now that I know how to do that, it shouldn't be too big of a deal. So anticipate there might be an issue or two, but I think it's going to go smoothly otherwise. Hello to Margie, Sheena, Wendy, Judy, Watcher, Heidi, Rachel, One Up, Chris, my buddy Chris, Barb Brown, Megan. We got a lot of the regulars in the chat. Hi, Zali. How you doing? Thanks for joining us, guys. I just want to thank everyone for showing up today. We'll give it just a moment and wait as the chat fills up. And while we do that, let's introduce the world's best co-host.
Hello, hello. Hopefully everyone can hear me well. I know the last time I was on here, I had to fix the mixer, but if I'm coming through loud and clear now, just let me know. And if not, well, I guess we'll find out the easy way too, right?
Hi to Don, Louise, Tracy, everybody. Grotto, thank you so much for joining us, my friend. And you guys are probably familiar with this case. It has been featured on, well, it's been a lot of places, but it was on Disappeared, which a lot of you guys know from that we do the Disappeared updates on my channel, plus just the fact that it's a huge show. So this case has been featured there before. So this is the case of Niqui McCown, who went missing, and the details surrounding it are, like many of these cases, extremely suspicious. We got a lot of information already out there, and the sisters have more as well. So we're gonna take it one question at a time and make sure we get exactly the correct story. That's what we do on this channel. If you're not familiar with it, we try to interview the family members to get the story directly from the horse's mouth. There's a lot of channels that kind of try to retell the story and things like that, get details wrong. And we try not to do that. We're not infallible, that's for sure. But if we get it directly from the family, you get a much better chance of everything being correct. So that's what we do here. So if you are into that, please click subscribe and set the notification bell to all. And YouTube will notify you every time we are about to go live. And you can catch it. And as you see, the show is interactive. You can ask questions in the chat. So if there's a case you're following that you've been waiting for years to find something out, you can come right in and ask. Sounds like Grotto wants to say something.
Yeah, real quick. So one thing that has changed tonight, there has been an introduction of Nightbot. It looks like one of the settings is slightly off. Heidi Landry, I don't know if you noticed, you got timed out there for 5 seconds. Jason, we need to address this right now. Nightbot is timing people out. It shouldn't have those privileges. You might need to go ahead and remove it for tonight so we can fix that. So if you do get timed out by Nightbot right now, it's not intentional at all. You can completely ignore it. And Heidi, unfortunately, you just got timed out for 5 minutes. So sorry. Let's kill that right now, though.
Do I disable or delete?
Go ahead and disable. Go and remove them from your channel. So sorry for that, Heidi, unfortunately.
Remove it from the settings as a mod?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what you need to do.
Okay.
And we'll go ahead and get that set up. You hadn't given it those privileges, so I'm surprised it was able to do that.
Okay. Sorry, guys.
Laughing Hot says Nightbot went rogue. It certainly appears as it did. So again, apologies, Heidi. I'm sure you can see you might not be able to chat or speak in the chat for about 5 minutes. Again, that was not intentional. And we do apologize for that, folks.
All right, sorry about that. Rachel says it's from her using multiple emojis in one chat line.
It was for that, yes.
Oh, geez. Okay, not intentional, Heidi, as he said. So real quick, I want to bring on, we have Michelle and Tammy here, the sisters of Niqui. So we'll bring them on in just a moment, just to give you guys a quick little summary about the case. I'm going to read from, it's actually the Unsolved Mysteries fandom page. So let me go over these details and just to get you guys an idea of the case, and then we will bring on Michelle and Tammy. So 28-year-old prison guard Niqui McCown was engaged to Bobby Webster. On Sunday, July 22nd, 2001, just 3 weeks before their wedding, she arrived at her mother's house upset. She told her about an incident involving two men who harassed her and wouldn't leave her alone at a laundromat. She was afraid to go back there to get her laundry, but she eventually left her mother's house. She vanished that day and has not been seen or heard from since. The police could not find any signs of foul play nor a motive for her to vanish. The day of Nikki's disappearance began like any other day. After attending church, she set off to do the laundry while Bobby met with his best man at a local tuxedo shop. They planned to get together sometime later that afternoon. Their wedding was just 3 weeks away, and Nikki wanted it to be extra special. She had a 9-year-old daughter from a prior relationship, and even her ex-boyfriend seemed happy for her. She had always been a perfectionist, despite being the youngest and most precocious of 10 children in a close-knit family. After Nikki's disappearance, her family and the police looked into several theories about what may have caused it. They first suspected she may have been abducted by the men from the laundromat. Bobby also came under suspicion after he began acting strangely in the weeks after her disappearance. Real quick, again, I'm reading this from the page. Anything said here, we make no hard accusations. It is all alleged. So whether I'm reading it or saying it, we are not accusing. It's just being alleged. He called Sinclair Community College to ask for her unused tuition back. He allegedly became upset upon hearing that it was being paid for by her employer. He also wanted to give his wedding ring back, but the manager would not allow it because Nikki had paid for it. He claims he did this because he needed the money to search for her and purchase a cell phone. Investigators asked him to take a polygraph test and he agreed. According to them, he failed. However, he claims that he and his lawyer never were allowed to see the results. Strangely, on November 5th, months after Nikki's disappearance, her car was found in an apartment complex parking lot in Dayton, Ohio. This was over 45 minutes from her home in Richmond. Police found a popped out door lock, an ignition that had been tampered with, and a missing stereo system. Her laundry was also still inside. No fingerprints were found in and around the car. Interestingly, her ex-boyfriend had lived in another part of the apartment complex where the car was found. The family does have some, we talked about this beforehand. So again, everything I'm saying is just from the page, and they will further clarify and give their opinions on some of this. Interestingly, her ex-boyfriend had lived in another part of the complex where the car was found. However, he had an alibi for the afternoon of her disappearance. He is not believed to have any connection to it. Police did learn that Nikki made a phone call to Dayton asking a coworker about hair and makeup products. The coworker said that she could purchase them at a store in Dayton. The coworker lived about a mile from the apartment complex. It is believed that Nikki might have driven there. Some suggested that the person responsible for her disappearance may have driven her car there to take attention away from themselves. This led police right back to Bobby. However, he claims that he is innocent and knows nothing about her disappearance. It says her sister believes he is innocent. However, her mother is still suspicious of him, according to what this is. So let's bring on Michelle and Tammy, and they will give their opinions on that. Because again, I want to get the story directly from them. That was just kind of a quick summary according to the Unsolved Mystery. So Michelle and Tammy, thank you so much for joining us, guys. I want to say, obviously, I'm so sorry for what you're going through, and I pray we can help you find some answers.
Thank you.
So I read a quick little summary there, but I know we kind of talked about some of that stuff, how you and Tammy feel about the car. Do you, and where it was, that there may have been a little more to that story. But do you want to start by just telling us a little bit about Nikki in general, and then take us into the days leading into her disappearance?
You want to do it, Tammy, or you want me to?
You go ahead. If I don't like what you're saying, I'll interview you.
Okay. Nikki was, is, I hate saying was because we just don't know. But Nikki is a very outgoing person. She's a very loyal person. She is a great mother. She's a family person, so she, like our family, anybody that went through anything, she was always there to support them. Very smart, was working at the prison at MEPRC. That's how she met Tommy. And she was going to Sinclair Community College, taking up some criminal justice classes there. She had an application for a U.S. Marshal, and she either wanted to do that or to be the FBI, or she was a hostage negotiator. What, you want to say something, Tammy?
She wasn't going to be. She had been accepted to be a U.S. Marshal. In the fall, she was going to start that up. However, they don't talk about that too much. Another thing they don't talk about is the fact that she had Graves' disease, which If anybody knows about that, that's a type of thyroid disease, And
Okay, yeah, I didn't hear what you said. You said thyroid disease?
Pretty much.
Yeah, she has a thyroid disease.
Okay, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to make sure we heard correctly.
Yeah. And they don't talk about that very much, but she was on medication for it. And of course, if they found her medication at home, of course she didn't have it with her. So, at that time, I don't believe there was that silver alert thing back then, but you would think that they would have alerted people that she needed medication.
Yeah, I was very upset about that myself. That's why I brought it up, because I've always brought it up. Like Shell said, she was very outgoing. She would take the shirt off her back for anybody. Very trusting, probably more trusting than most. She was not only a hostage negotiator, but she also worked with young youth, trying to get them out of gangs. And let me see what else about her.
I can say everything I've heard on Niqui. I don't know if you guys are hearing me as coming in with the feedback. But yeah, I was going to say everything I've heard on Niqui, she sounds like just a complete sweetheart, Tammy.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely that. She was an excellent marksman. I think that's the part that really drives me crazy, is the fact that she was a hell of an sniper, is what I want to say. So this is why it came so surprisingly to us that she came missing, which is why I think the cops may have looked at Flint so much, because he was military background officer, plus he's a big guy. So that's another reason why I think they looked at him. But I honestly don't think he did it by himself.
Right. And so we get a couple guys here. And let me just make something clear to everybody, particularly Michelle and Tammy. I am having that issue again where I'm hearing the feedback. So the way that I have to do it, just to make sure, because when you listen back, you're not going to hear it right now, but you'll hear it when you listen back. You won't be able to hear me. It's going to be like, wah, 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 wah. So the way I have to fix that is I have to mute your mic, Michelle, while I talk. So I'm just telling you, in case while I'm talking, if Tammy tries to say, oh, no, you got that wrong, I'm not going to be able to hear her, just so you don't think I'm talking over you or something like that. So it's just because of the tech issue. So while I'm talking, I have you guys muted, just so we don't get the feedback. So we have her ex-fiance, and then there's another guy that's possibly involved, or at least that has been accused and is a suspect. Do you want to start by taking us over the whole laundromat situation, and then kind of going into the details about the two guys and how they relate to each other or how they don't?
You want to do it, Tammy, or do you?
Hold on, I'm confused. Is he talking about what she said, that someone was at the laundromat touching her hair and stuff, or is he talking about
just the whole thing? Just the whole thing at the laundromat, how that all went down.
Okay, the way that they pursued to me was probably a couple weeks before that. She had told me that there was some guy harassing her down there. So she stopped going, and then she went, and my mom said when she came up to the house, she said, he won't stop messing with me. And she said, this guy, he just won't leave me alone. She wouldn't tell my mom what his complexion was, anything like that. And in my eyes, I believe it was probably more than one person. And then she went and said that it was some Hispanic. That's what she ended up telling my mom. But I believe it was probably one or two particular people, and she didn't want to give my mom any worries. She didn't tell her. But she did elaborate that there was something that happened to her a few weeks prior to that, because she stopped going to the laundromat for about a month.
Okay.
Now, I mentioned this to the detectives and stuff, but because it was just my opinion and they couldn't find anything out of it, I think they kind of just washed it out. So that's why they didn't even follow that lead. And every person that they questioned about that, they kind of, what's the word I would say? Ruled them out because they felt like either they weren't significantly believable or they had some kind of past history where they felt like, you know, they wasn't going to regulate through court. So they kind of just removed it. Addicts or, what's the name of what they should.
So we have a question about the laundromat from Louise Haraway. She said, and I think you guys probably don't know too much about them from what I understand, but she asked, were these people who were at the laundromat working there or washing their clothes there, the customers?
No, they were supposed to be washing their clothes. What my sister had complained to me about prior to the day that this happened, that it was another person there doing their laundry, and he just happened to be there, kind of like watching her more so.
And on that note itself, too, I've noticed there were a few reports where it mentioned that there was more than one person. So do we know if it was one person or if it was possibly a group? I know you kind of mentioned it might have been 2 or 3 individuals as well.
We're not for sure because of the simple fact of what she had told my mom. And see, my mom was the last one that actually got to see her. Now, what you guys don't know is I live directly down the street from the laundromat, less than a block. And I could see her from my house when she was down there. However, the day that she came up missing, I was not home. And which to me makes me think that this person or persons were aware that I wasn't home, because she would have came to my house directly from the laundromat. She wouldn't have went to my mom's. Now, in fact, she would do her laundry, leave her laundry there, and come and sit at my house. This is how close I live to the laundromat, and we can see each other. So now they're not going to bring this part up, but it hasn't even been brought up in any show. But I have said this repeatedly, that I believe the person knew I wasn't home.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because that same day I was getting hang up phone calls at my house. And it was just weird how Tammy wasn't at home. I was getting the hang up phone calls on the same day that Niqui comes up missing. It just, I don't know, it's kind of, but the police looked into the phone calls. They couldn't figure out who was calling me hanging up. But it did like it was all set up like that.
So you believe that the person knew you weren't home. So that leads me to believe that you have and again, we're not making any accusations, but that you have a pretty good idea of who it may be, or at least who it could be, or how they knew her. So where are you guys leaning as far as that, since you believe they knew you weren't home?
You mean, who do we want to point the finger at?
Yeah, well, I guess the way I'd rather word it is, if someone was looking into the case, because again, we don't want to accuse anyone, both for, your protection and ours, of course. You don't want to ever outright accuse, and we're not doing that. But let's say there's, we have a good amount of people in the chat here. For anybody that wants to help out, what direction would you think would be a good one to point them in, as to where your thoughts are leaning towards?
Well, I myself think that if somebody was watching it, it had to been somebody that knew her, of course. And I believe it was either somebody that had something to do with the fiance or somebody that had something to do with like co-worker. It had to definitely be somebody that would knew her and had some kind of motive in my book. And she was about to get married. So the fiance had an ex-girlfriend that Niqui had problems with. And she said the wedding would never happen. So, I wonder if she had anything to do, any part in, or she knows anything. I'm not going to accuse anyone of anything. If she knows anything that could help us out. And then you had the thing with Tommy Swint. And this is what I wanted to clarify because there have been reports that I said that Niqui had a relationship with Tommy Swint. And what I said is Niqui went, when she first started working out to the prison, Niqui went on he took her to shopping. I don't know what you would call it, a date or whatever. She went shopping with him one time. And that was it. After that, he started dating friends and stuff like that of hers. So Niqui never had a relationship with him, but he always wanted a relationship with her. If that even makes sense.
It appeared that he had a pretty obsessive nature too. Didn't he send her lingerie as a wedding gift?
Yeah, he had, he did things, slicing her tires and stuff, like he was like that. It really seemed like he wanted something from Niqui that she wasn't willing to give to him.
Okay, we have a couple of people asking who Tommy is, so we went over the fiance a little. There's a lot to this Tommy guy, including what eventually ended up happening to him. So do you want to go into kind of the specifics of him, how she knew him, that they had worked together, what he had done for work, and what eventually became, his demise? Do you want to kind of go over all those details?
Would you like to
I
tell?
don't know if we can really touch that though, because of the simple fact that he's not here to defend himself, and
well, you could tell where he worked at because it's on the in the newspapers and stuff.
Anything that's in the media, you can go ahead and talk about, including the other case that they were trying to tie him to. That'd be perfectly fine, as long as anything you want to say is related to that. I wouldn't worry too much about it.
okay, he worked at the prison with her. He also got a job as a cop working for the police department there. He worked at several grocery stores as a security guard. He also worked at a greenhouse, which is kind of leery to me, as a greenskeeper.
He worked he worked at Wright Pat Air Force Base. He did a lot of security, and he was a cop. He got hired to be a cop. And a couple months after he got hired to be the cop, we found out, and we told the detective we didn't understand how a person of interest could get hired to be a cop. And he resigned, and then that's when he moved away.
You're moved to Alabama.
Yeah, him and Niqui met through the job.
The prison.
Yeah, and they stayed really, really close friends. They helped each other. They was there for each other. They would hang out with each other. But it wasn't just like her hanging out with him. She always had her boyfriend with him. He always had some woman with him because he messed with multiple women.
Okay, since she brought that up, you asked a question about how and which way we would be going with it. That's where that comes into play, because he met all of our family. So he knew where pretty much all of us lived. And I'm not going to say any more than that.
Yeah. And
he bought a dog from me.
yeah. And then the thing with the other woman that he was indicted for murdering, and that's when they got that indictment when he moved back to Alabama, and then I guess when they was walking up to arrest him, that's when he shot and killed himself. But even before that, he had a child by a woman that he threatened, and she had to move away. So the guy has been accused of stalking. He's did a lot of stuff. You look his name up, you find all kinds of stuff. It's very possible that he is, the police are on the right direction. It's very, very possible.
But I don't think he did it by himself. I don't think he did it by himself.
Neither do I. I think that there's other things, there's other people that know or have some kind of involvement in it, even if it was him.
Well, do you think that he could possibly have gotten her into a position of trust?
Can you repeat that, Grotto? Because I had to mute it.
Yeah. Do you think she perhaps or could have perhaps been taking advantage of him, given that they did have a cordial relationship, or was Tommy like really on her radar? She wouldn't even want to be anywhere near alone with him.
No, I mean
I would say it was cordial.
Yeah, because
I would.
She wasn't. I mean, even though he had, like, I would tell her from time to time, like, why do you hang out with this guy? And I mean, she was like, oh, just don't pay no attention to him. He's cool. He's cool. So I would have to say cordial too.
Because the way he presented himself to me was just like they were like brother and sister. But I'm an older sister, so he may have kind of tried to play it down with me. But see, Michelle and Niqui were just a couple of years apart. Plus, she knew somebody that worked at the prison too. So it was like kind of a tit for tat thing. And I would say I was a little more motherly. So he probably could have sensed that a little more. Like I was kind of reading him a little differently.
Okay. And so just to make sure we're following everything along, and again, we're not accusing anyone, especially not a man who can't defend himself. So we're just piecing things together. Of course, we don't know for sure, but so Tommy, as far as we know, he at least seemed to kind of like her, got her lingerie as a gift. He would have known. He did kind of know the inner working. So when you say that you think it was someone that knew you weren't home, he could have fit that bill. He's also been indicted for the murder of a prostitute. And then when they went after him for it, he ended up committing suicide. So that's a pretty good timeline of everything about Tommy.
Yeah, the only thing that you're not bringing up is the fact that the way that they connected the dots was they used Nicki's DNA. And that's how they found his DNA on the person that was murdered.
Yeah, and then afterwards they were able to connect the handprint.
Wow. Okay. So when you, well, I don't know if you even want to go into that because I know you said you don't want to be accused. I was going to talk about how you said that you think the car was planted there, but if you wanted to go over that at all, you can. If not, that's fine too. Again, like we talked about before, you don't have to feel pressured to go into any specific details. But you did say that you don't think he was alone. You don't think whoever did it was alone, let's say. Do you want to go into any more details on why you think that or what led you to believe that? And again, you don't have to say any names or anything like that, but how does that all piece together for you?
Well, the reason why I say that is because of the simple fact that there's a similarity of Bobby's looks and Flint's, other than the fact that Flint was probably maybe 6 inches taller than Bobby, but they had a lot of similarities in their appearance. They both wore glasses. They both were about the same complexion and build. You know, they were both really nicely built, and they both were dressers. However, their hair was similar and everything, really close cut. So if someone was to see them driving, they could have confused them for the same person.
Okay. Okay. So this is really a shame that this happened. This is how the story of Tommy ended because, well, one, we don't want to see anybody do that to themselves, but two, for the sake of Niqui and getting answers, no matter whether he was involved or not, it sounds like he could have had some answers in some way. So it's just a damn shame that this is where we are right now.
Well, plus when the car was found, Bobby was here at my house with the family when they found it on the news, and I was totally livid. And he said, well, why would you think that was a setup? I said, you've got to be an idiot not to notice that. So.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like the car was moved, right?
Right. They tried to tell us that the car had been sitting there the whole entire time. And it had sat there. There was mothballs and all that stuff. But there's no way that car sat there that long. Because where it was located at was like in a dead end area, like where they put the trash cans or the rosy rollers, closer to the woods. However, they're saying it was sitting out so we could see it broad day. No. And the people that did find it said that they had reported it for some time, and the cops rode through that parking lot continuously. So why didn't they see it there if that was the case? That's why I believe it was moved and planted there.
Okay. Sorry, I'm kind of thinking as we're talking. So we have a pretty good question from Wendy Sims, who asks, where was the other victim found? She says, was that area searched as a possible dump area, meaning where they found the other girl? Is it possible that they could have looked and saw if Niqui was over there, or do you know how well they searched that area?
No, the other girl was found way before then. It was like a case from the past. She was already questioned and everything, a suspect there, but they never had no evidence, enough DNA back then to actually do anything. She was, I think, murdered in the 90s or something. And
it was like maybe 15 or 17 years before Niqui came up missing.
Before, yeah.
So.
And it was in a whole different location.
91. Yeah, that happened 10 years later, I guess. If it happened in 91. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know if the police ever checked the area again. It would make sense for it to them too, because if they thought he was a serial killer, dropping, that sometimes from what I read, they can drop off at the same spot and stuff like that. So that they never had shared that with, unless they shared it with her, they've never shared that with me.
They shared that with me either, but you would think doing cold cases, like how they solved hers, they would have went back over and did that. But then again, they're only going to do so much of the job. Pretty much in this day and age, they want the family and people to do the job for them, and they just get to shut up, Tim. You better not put that part on. Oh, boy.
It's easy to happen. She said don't put that part in there. But I think
the simple fact that I'm saying the cops want us to do their job for them pretty much. They can only do
a reminder we're live.
What'd you say, Greta?
Is this a part where we remind her we're live?
Yeah, we are live, guys. Just
it's okay. It's okay. I'm sure.
That's why I'm laughing. That's why I said that.
Yeah, we used to doing it where they. Never mind. But she said she understands.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, we can always look and go back, but so yeah, so she had been killed. You said about 10 years before, but Shiva's girl asked. So they went after, even though it was 10 years before, they went after him for her death after Niqui disappeared. Right? That's when he was linked.
Well, from what my understanding is, a relative always wondered about him because of the relationship. Because, he was supposed to be her boyfriend, but he was pimping her out. So, the family wondered about him forever. It wasn't until after Niqui came up missing and they actually made it, had a cold case detective looking into it, is when they put everything together and they used Niqui's DNA. Well, not Niqui's DNA, but the DNA they got from Niqui's case is his DNA.
Wow. Okay. Grotto, I want to make sure you get some questions in too. I'll go over some pictures if you'd like to get a question in.
Yeah, sure. And one brief comment before that. Earlier, someone had mentioned that Tommy Swint was the father of her child. I incorrectly stated that Robert was. So I just wanted to make sure that Robert was her fiance. That's correct, right, Michelle?
Well, 1 second. Let me unmute her. Sorry. You can answer now, Michelle.
Steve Johnston is Niqui's daughter's father. That's not Robert or Tommy Swint.
Yeah.
Niqui met Steve after Bobby went away to California after high school. They went several ways. And she met Steve, had a child with him, and no, that's not Peyton's dad. Steve Johnston is Peyton's dad.
Yep, just wanted to make sure I got that correct. And then anyone going through the articles might have noticed they mentioned that Robert or Bobby Webster was her high school sweetheart. As Michelle mentioned, he'd moved away, and that's when she met the father of her daughter. I'm trying not to say his name because I don't think he's a person of interest. You guys don't suspect him at all, correct?
No, he's not. He did everything you would think, everything that you would think that wouldn't have been hard for Niqui's fiance or Tommy to do. Steve was down there doing everything he needed to clear his name and to help find Niqui.
All right. And aside from the things that had been mentioned about him trying to get money back for her college, return the wedding ring, maybe get money back for the venue, was there anything else that he did that was suspicious monetarily that you guys knew of?
Yeah.
He did a lot of stuff that was suspicious. A lot of stuff. I mean, not only did he do that with the ring and the college money, he just, like, I used to work at a place and he would just come to my job. I was a teller. He'd come to my job and just sit in the lobby and wait hours till I got done so I could talk to him, because he wanted to know what was going on. Had they heard anything or did anything? Which was weird to me because all he had to do was call my mom or dad or one of my brothers and sisters. Why are you coming by here waiting 2 hours for me? So that was weird to me.
The only thing I can say that I thought that he did was weird, and to this day he still has not answered my questions, is why he said that they were getting married at one church, and when we did the Unsolved Mysteries thing, he told him she was getting married in another church. That's my biggest question for him.
And another thing, he left the night Niqui came up missing. Why he got up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go wash a car? He left. Everybody was at my sister's house, Tammy's house, and he left 5 o'clock in the morning. He said Niqui told him to go wash the car. Who's thinking about washing a car when we can't even find Niqui? And the car was already clean. So, I mean, that part I didn't, that made me be suspicious. Like, what is he doing? Where's he going? Nobody was with him, so we don't know where he went.
And was he was at home allegedly alone that day and waiting for her so that they could fill out some more wedding invitations. Is that right?
He was,
Yes.
yeah, he went to get fitted for a tux, and Nikki was doing the laundry. So,
So given they were still doing wedding invitations 3 weeks before their marriage. Oh, go ahead.
He came by my house. He's the one that alerted us that she was not around.
yeah.
He stopped by my house. It was about like maybe 3 o'clock, 3:15, 3:16, somewhere in there. And he asked me had I seen her. And I said, no. He said, well, she was at the laundromat, but that was the last time he seen her. And he thought maybe she had stopped by my house. Like I told you, I wasn't home. But he knew I wasn't going to be at home because the night before they was at our house, and I told him I was going to the movies. So we had just got home, and he said he was going back to the apartment to see if she was there. A couple hours later, he called me, asked me had she stopped by, and had I seen or heard from her, and I said no. So he said, well, she was going to go ahead and check and see if she might have been with our cousins. And he couldn't get in touch with her. That's what he told us. So probably about like, I say 6 o'clock, 7, he called again, asking me had I seen or heard from her. And at this time, Michelle was at my house. And I said, no. I said, had you talked to our cousin? He said, no. She comes walking in the door, and he said, when he called her or something that she had told him that she hadn't seen him, well, my cousin said she never talked to him. He never called her. So at that time, that's when we got worried.
And another thing, outside of that, the one thing that bugged me out is one particular time when he crawled to my mom and asked her to forgive him and was in tears. What did she have to forgive him for if he hasn't did anything wrong? And he never explained what that even meant, why he would say anything. He just got up and started crying. And that was after my mom told him to get off his knees because she wasn't God and you only bow down to God. So that, to me, was a little suspicious. Like, why are you doing that? And I'm sitting right there looking at him. So he can't deny it because there was a lot of people in the room.
Wow. Yeah, it sounds like there's not only are there multiple suspects and possibilities, but each one of them has kind of a lot of craziness to it. Geez, I want to go over, we got a couple questions. I can kind of combine them into one. Chris had asked that she heard something about him selling the ring for certain financial reasons. And then someone else asked if any polygraph tests have been taken. So from what I just posted in the chat, I'll read it so that everyone can see it. When we'll check with Tammy and Michelle to make sure it's correct. But it says in that blurb that I had read that he claims he sold it because he needed the money to search for her and to purchase a cell phone. So that was his reason, Chris, for saying allegedly that why he wanted to sell the ring. And excuse me. And apparently he was asked to take a polygraph test and agreed, but according to investigators, allegedly he failed. Is that all correct, guys?
Yes.
Yes, they're all true. And he wasn't supposed to have failed once. He was supposed to have failed 3 times.
Wow. Okay. Grotto, do you want to get this is a question from Be United Missing Persons, guys. I don't know if I said it in the beginning, but they made one of the flyers that you keep seeing on screen. They're awesome, and they completely help out with missing persons cases. Their links are below. But Grotto, do you want to get their question in on screen there?
Were searches ever done in the area where the vehicle was located?
Yes.
Well, we don't. They said they did. We were never included in those searches. Matter of fact, there's a few places that I would love to have searched myself that we still have not been having clearance from over in Ohio.
She got called into work a lot too. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a hostage negotiator.
But she also worked at a correctional facility, right?
Yeah, that's what she did. The hostage negotiator.
All right. Did anyone ever search her route to work?
Well, I know we never did. I'm going to be honest with you. We were limited because of the jurisdiction. We were only allowed to basically search here in Indiana. We didn't get a lot of approval in Ohio. That was usually through the police department and all the law enforcement areas over there, and they would cross jurisdiction a lot.
The only thing we could do was drive, and I know that night she came up missing. Me, my husband, and my cousin drove to Dayton from Richmond the way we thought she may have went, and the way we thought you would go past Meadows of Catawba, because we went past there, and we just drove around the area where we thought that maybe your car broke down or something, and then the next day I went to her job and they told me that she still hadn't showed up. So that's the only kind of things that the police will allow us to do when it came to Ohio. Now, Indiana, we did do a search.
We did several here.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, get the feedback again. Sorry. That's why sometimes you'll hear me pause for a few seconds. It's because I'm doing the mic thing, so I apologize. So earlier in this interview, Timmy had said that she wanted to kind of say something that hasn't been said before, and we went over that. But Michelle, my understanding before we started is that you had also said you had a question that you wanted to be asked that no other shows had asked you or any other interviews. So let me kind of lump that in a more general sense. Is there anything that hasn't been asked, that hasn't been made public, or that Grotto and I haven't thought to ask that you want to make sure is out there? Just any details, whether it be about her in general, that day, something that's happened afterwards. Is there anything like that that you want to take this time to put out there?
Yeah, I wanted to say, and I think I said it a little bit, but when I had stated something years and years ago about Niqui going out on a date with Tommy Swint, and next thing I know, putting it on the news, and it said Niqui was having an affair on her fiance with Tommy Swint. That is not true. Niqui went out with Tommy Swint one time. They were friends, never dating. But Tommy Swint did want something other than friendship with Niqui. I've stated this several times, but somehow it keeps getting twisted around. And I wanted to clarify tonight that didn't happen.
Okay, absolutely. And is there any other details? Anything you want to go over as far as any of her birthmarks? Tattoos, identifying marks, anything like that? I know. I know we're thinking that something might have happened, but we always like to leave open the possibility of a positive resolution that, something happened in her life and she needed to get away. God only knows, or for whatever reason, she can't come back. So we always want to leave that open, that's a possibility. So do you want to go over, if anyone were to see her, anything like that they could look for as far as tattoos, identifying marks, anything like that? Go over her height, stuff like that.
Well, she's 5'2". She did have a very bad cut on the back of her left leg, where it was from a bicycle wreck, and a glass cut her on the top of her head. So she had to have several stitches there. She does have a mark right there on the very top of her head where her hair would be parted. You could see it. I don't believe she had any tattoos. At least not that I was aware of. She has flat feet. Her feet is not. She has very small feet, but they were flat. She did not have an arch in her foot.
I have flat feet too. That's the first time I heard someone else say that.
No, but it's very, 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 important, because they may find some of them or someone that might match that, but she does have flat feet. I want to talk about that scar really bad on her left leg. When I say that, I mean it's on the back of her calf, the higher part of it, close to where the back of the bend of the knee is. It looks like maybe she might have got like a straw bite that's got kind of teeth marks in it. So that would definitely be it. But oh no, I'm trying to think of her arm. Oh, she only liked white, gold, silver, platinum. So if in fact she's still alive, that would be one of her biggest, I guess, markings. She didn't believe in gold. She only believed in like stainless steel, silver, white gold, or platinum.
Okay.
She's a left-hander.
That's rare.
I think of what else.
Real quick too, and we got a lot of people asking about cell phone. I don't think we went over that. This was quite a while ago. Did she not have a cell phone? Or
She didn't have a cell phone back then.
They had a pager.
They had a pager.
And a cell phone. Which I'm glad you brought that up. Her pager went off probably a couple of days after she came up missing. We turned it into the police department. Nothing was ever said about it. We don't know if they found out who called the pager, if it was her trying to contact us, or whatever. But nothing ever was done about that.
what? So you had the pager when it went off? Did you see what it said?
The phone number.
The phone number came up, but we had to turn it into the police department, and they never gave it back to us.
Don't say it publicly, but do you happen to still know that phone number?
No.
No, I don't, but I know they do.
I just remember the first three letters, the first three numbers. I do remember
Bobby
that.
Bobby might.
If you guys can get that, I can't make any promises, but I might know some people that could find out a lot of info from that. Even more than you would think. Got a couple people that help with the channel that all legal, but they try to help in various ways and have a lot of skills with computers and finding things. And I'm not bad at that either, as far as finding things about people. So if you do happen to find someone or like Bobby or someone that knows what that is, shoot me in a private message, not public, of course, because we don't want someone that has that number now being harassed or something like that.
And Jason, one question that I've seen a couple of times also, where the car was left at the apartment complex, was it a wooded area nearby there, and was that searched? Obviously, it sounds more like the car was actually somewhere else prior to that and had been dumped there. But just in case, was that searched?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Michelle.
No, the area that they found the car, there is woods in that area. I know we walked through there. A whole bunch of us walked through there. Because there was like a homeless man that was living in the woods or something, if I remember right. But the police said that they checked all that area, so I don't know, but they didn't do it with us.
And it's also not that far from the location of the friend that she contacted.
Yeah.
About the hair and nail vitamin.
They said it's 0.8 of a mile from where Tommy and the friend was living at the time.
Okay.
That's not very far at all.
No, not at all. Something to keep in mind for sure. So I like to do something as we get to about this point in the interview. I'm always not quite sure quite how to ask it sometimes, but would you like to either get a direct message either out to Niqui if she were watching, and or maybe someone who knows something about what happened to her, just anything direct? If you'd like to speak to someone, I just feel like that's pretty much the most effective part of this, if you can speak directly to the audience, to someone in particular, however you'd like to word it.
Can we both say something? She say something and then I say something.
Absolutely.
Okay, go ahead, Tammy.
Well, I would like to say if there is another person that is a part of this or knows exactly what happened, it's time to let it come to an end. Even if you have to do an anonymous tip to let us know where we can locate our sister, it would be much approved. We have lost our mom. They lost our stepfather. Well, he's my stepfather, Michelle's real father. She is a mother. She is also a grandmother. She comes from a family of 10 kids. All of us are grieving. We just lost our mom the day before her anniversary this year. Thanksgiving is coming up. It would be a heck of a Thanksgiving for us if someone could come out and just give us the truth. I mean, if you can't tell us, contact the police and just let us know where to look. Because I think my niece deserves that. Her granddaughter deserves that. My mom deserves that. Her father deserves that. We all deserve that. And put yourself in the opposite. What if this was your family? What if this was your sister? What if this was your daughter? And unfortunately, I don't want to wish that she's gone. And Niqui, if you are out there, I know it would be hard for you to come home if it was for a different reason, which I know you would have done that, but you could pick up the phone and call. My number has not changed. Everybody else's has, mine has not. And I'm not going to change it because this is second home to you. You're just like my daughter. And I miss you. I love you, and I love to hear your voice. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. I would like to say that there's a few people out there that I feel are not being completely honest. And even if you haven't did anything to my sister, just to come and talk to one of us so we could stop wondering and just focus on. I mean, I don't want my brain to be scattering, suspecting all these different people. I want to be focused so we can find Niqui. And if there's somebody out there that knows anything and hasn't came forth, and you're just sitting on the information, and now it's been 19 years, you know, we just lost our mom on July 21st. Niqui's 19th year anniversary is July 22nd. So those are two anniversary dates that we'll never forget, of course, because it touched us personally. But Niqui's daughter and her granddaughter now, more than anyone, deserves an answer. But I know that her siblings, nieces, and nephews have been searching so bad for an answer, and I feel like if somebody out there knows anything, that now is the time to come forth, because what if this was your loved one? 19 Thanksgivings, 19 Christmases. I mean, what if this was your loved one? You would want someone to come forth. And I just hope you get the courage to come forth. And I believe you're not doing anybody any good. But if Niqui is out there, Niqui, we're coming, hold on. Because I know if you out there and you ain't came back, somebody's got you in a place where you can't get away, because you wouldn't just walk away from your family. So just hold on, and we will never give up. we will be your voice until you are found. And I love you very much.
And I would like, if something's going to happen to us, what else do we have? We don't have anything. That's all we have was family. And I'm not scared. She knows I'm not. So if it had anything to do with me, or if it had anything to do with Mom, well, Mom is already gone, you know, so.
And I just want, since you guys, since you had talked about submitting anonymous tips and things like that, I just want to go over a couple things to anybody listening who either has some information or maybe just an idea, a theory, and you want to contact them. If you go in the description below, you'll see the Missing Niqui McCown Facebook page. You'll also see Michelle's page. Tammy does not have one, so we just have Michelle's there. So you can contact them. Please only do so, of course, if it's something important. Well, no, let me rephrase that. Anything you know, come forward. I just mean sometimes they get quite a lot of messages after these interviews, so try to keep that in mind. But if you know something, there's never any information that's too small, or never assume that people already know something, so you're not going to bother saying it. Anyone who watches the show every day knows I say that every day pretty much. But it's true in every case. These cases are always made up of thousands of tiny little bits of info, and you just need to connect the dots on the right pieces and take it from there. And that's how they end up getting solved. So you can contact the family that way. If you wanted to, you probably have seen it if you're watching on screen and not listening in a car. But you can also contact Richmond, Indiana Police at 765-983-7247. And it's case number 2001-215798. And again, just to repeat it, they're saying at this point, they're even willing to just take anonymous tips. Of course, they care more about finding their sister than getting people in trouble or whatever. So if you're someone that knows something, but you're scared to come forward, keep that in mind and think about what if this was your sister, your mother, your daughter, something along those lines. So please consider it, and please come forward if you know something. Michelle and Tammy, is there anything else you wanted to add? Also to Grotto, if there was anything you wanted to ask.
Yeah, I wanted to say something. And the people that they have under suspicion, if they are innocent, that's even a better reason for you to come forth. Because we don't want a false person being accused of something they did not do. I mean, because how many people have went to prison or have been titled for some murder or disappearance or something like that, and they were really found innocent. This is the same way here. We just want to know where our sister is. I mean, if Swink's not the guilty party, and if Bobby's not the guilty party, and whoever this other person was at the laundry that was, but who did do it, that's another reason to clear these other people's names. Because, I mean, we don't know for sure. We're just speculating just like everybody else, but we do know she was taken without wanting to go. We do know that. She was taken with force. That's why I know it was more than one person.
Okay. All right. You have a lot of support in the chat, guys. A lot of people just saying thank you for bringing the story forward. They're going to do what they can. They wish you well. A lot of people talking about how pretty Niqui is, stuff like that. So when you watch it back, you'll be able to see the chat a little more clear, because obviously right now you focus in on us and things like that. Grotto, I don't know if you have any other of your personal questions. If you don't, I'll put one on screen there for you to ask. But if you have your own, feel free to try to get them in as we wind down here.
Yeah. Do you know if she was having any second thoughts about getting married? And I also had a question related to that. Given that they were doing the invitations 3 weeks before getting married, was the marriage rushed, or was it pretty planned out pretty well?
No, that marriage was planned out. I mean, she had her wedding dresses and everything. Go ahead, Tammy.
Yes. Matter of fact, I think that Bobby was a little upset because she was spending so much money on the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
It was planned out, and since you brought that up, we had her bridal shower, and hardly anybody came to it. None of her friends came. I think there was probably a total of 3, maybe 4 of her friends. The rest were family. She was told several times that, there was a lot of people who didn't want the wedding to come to be. And it's ironic that 3 weeks before her wedding, she comes up missing. And 2 weeks before that was her bridal shower, and she received a nasty letter saying that the wedding would never take place. But that's something you probably did not know about. They probably haven't even told you guys about that, because this letter surprisingly has disappeared, like it vanished.
Yeah, what's going on with all that? This opened a whole new room of information. So do you know who that was? Do you have any suspicion?
The ex of her fiance.
It was? Okay. I must have misunderstood.
I'm not at liberty to say, but Bobby knows. You guys could ask him.
Yeah, he knows who wrote it. Someone real close to him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is there anything? People asking a lot of questions. Who was the letter from? You pretty much answered that. Why did they not want the wedding to happen? I think I understand why that would be, since Grotto answered who it's from. I think that makes sense. So yeah, anything you want to go into on that, you can. But if there's certain things you can't say, that's perfectly fine.
Because if it was the fiance's ex, the word that she still wanted to be with Bobby. And then you got his family that didn't get along with Niqui too well. So there was many reasons why they didn't want him to get married.
Wow. Okay. Oh boy. Okay. Well, we're gonna do everything we can, guys, to try to get this out there. I know you've already been a lot of places and put this story, but every set of eyeballs help. You never know which is going to be the one that knows something, or which is going to be the time that someone finally says, you know what, Jesus, these poor people are struggling. I'm going to come forward. So I'm going to try to get this everywhere I can to help out. And, we thank you for coming on, but we say a prayer for Niqui that there is a positive resolution, and at the very, very least, that at least there's some kind of closure and clarity in this case. It's been far too long.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on. We will end it there, guys. If you guys have any more questions, please put them in the comments below. By the way, that helps the video out huge. So it helps get it out to more people, so more people see the video, is by leaving comments below. It tells YouTube, oh, people are commenting on this video. They like it. And then the YouTube algorithm sends it out to more people. So then more people see this and we get more eyeballs on it. So any questions that you have that weren't answered, or if you want to re-clarify something, ask it a different way, whatever, put it in the comments below. And if they come up, I'll tell Michelle and Tammy, hey, check the video. So-and-so asked the question about this. And I'm sure they'll get to it, they'll get to it and answer the question for you. So, okay, Grotto, thank you so much for joining us, my friend. And Michelle and Tammy, thank you so much. You guys are in our prayers, and we're going to do everything we can for you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys, for joining us. Have a great night, everybody. You want to say goodbye, Grotto?
Goodbye, Grotto.
Goodbye, Grotto. Bye, guys.